This is John Jackson Miller, writer of Star Wars comics and novels, and you're listening to Star Wars with Stevie B. May the Force be with you.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another Star Wars talk. Episode 30, actually. Man, I've done 30 of these so far. It's been such a blast. Today, I had the pleasure of talking to Mr. Ken Palpatine. He recently went to Legends Con, and boy, does he have the stories for you guys. I was taken back by some of them. It's a pretty wild adventure he went on. Overall, he's an awesome guy. I really enjoyed talking with him. He loves to read. He also does some writing. He's got some very clever ideas. So I'll put some links in the description below because he's looking for some writers out there to jump on board with this. There's a little bit of a connection issue in the beginning. Very, very minor. A couple minutes, but it mellows out and everything's fine. So don't let that bother you. I just want to say thanks to everyone for your support. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm having a blast talking with all you guys, creating friendships. But without further ado, Ken Palpatine. Well, welcome, man. I'm glad you're taking the time out to come on and chat with me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I've been, following you on Instagram, and I just want to say I appreciate the posts that you do, and especially from Legends Con. I was
hmm
I wasn't able to go, but I was living through the experience through yourself, Quinlan Voss, the
hmm
Revanches, Only Good Games, Eddie. Some of the
Yeah.
guys that we kind of all, and it's cool that a lot of you guys got to get together and meet, in
yeah,
person.
yeah, we had a good time together.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a good turnout. I see you got the Legends Con cup there, so that's
It's a
cool.
Starbucks container, but I
Well, with some
actually just
stickers,
put the sticker on.
for
Figured
sure,
it looked
man.
good. Green milk.
Yeah, hey, yeah, there you go. Breakfast of Champions right
Yeah.
there. Breakfast of Champions. Thanks for coming
hmm
on early too. I you
Oh,
know,
for
I
sure.
appreciate that too as well.
Yeah.
But I'm an
Yeah.
early bird.
I got confused with Eastern or
The time
Central
zones?
versus Eastern. I thought that I was an hour behind.
Nope, hour ahead.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm excited. I just love talking to other Star Wars fans, man.
hmm
It's just this is so fun and it's a blast and just everyone's different experiences, what they like, trying
hmm
to figure that, because we all like different aspects of the galaxy far, far away, and that's so cool.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just and hearing what and sometimes hearing different people's opinions change my opinion, others' opinions on certain aspects of, especially reading through the expanding universe, which is so huge.
hmm
And the different, a lot of people love the New Jedi Order, which I'm currently reading through. So, well, we lost them for a second, but I'll keep talking. So, yeah, I am currently reading through the New Jedi Order, and I'm having a good time with it. And he's back,
Yeah.
and you're back. There you are. So let's start off. I know there's some things that I'd like to talk to you about that we were kind of mentioning in chat
hmm
through before we got to this, but like what's the how did you get involved with Star Wars?
Uh,
Ooh, Ken might be having some technical difficulties here with the connection.
okay.
Let's see. All
Well,
right. There
hopefully
we go.
holds. I would say it was Lego Star Wars. I was in first grade. The Revenge of the Sith had come out,
You're
and
still there. I can hear you.
okay, I saw that. I stopped moving.
Hmm. Some technical stuff happening here. Hopefully we can get this squared away, but that's all right. That's all part of streaming. That's the beauty and joy of streaming. We have stuff like this happen, and that's okay.
Yeah. So I I watched it at my friend's house. Revenge of the
Okay.
Sith. It was the first Star Wars movie I saw. I guess it's kind of funny. He told me everyone who was going to die in the second they showed up on the screen. And I mean, well, we were like 5 or
Yeah.
yeah, so it wasn't a huge deal. But that stuck with me. I still at that point wasn't like a Star Wars person, but playing Lego Star Wars really got me into it in elementary school, and then my mother got me all of these Last of the Jedi. That book series
Oh,
is what I grew up reading. Excellent. I had never read Jedi Apprentice or Jedi Quest, but
okay,
I had enough with that to kind of keep going.
sure.
Uh,
I have never read the Last Jedi series. I'd love to. I don't. I own a few of the books. Them books are kind of hard to find.
yeah, children's type junior novels, but Jude Watson is an excellent author.
Phenomenal.
I would love to see her at Legends Con. Uh,
Yeah.
but then Rebel Force came out, and I was reading some of those. I actually didn't finish Last of the Jedi for a few years,
Okay.
but then Rebel Force, uh, I don't want to spoil things, but it was very obviously some references to Last of the Jedi that indicated to me before I finish this series, I need to go back and finish that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read Last of the Jedi. I
Hmm.
own a few of the books. It's hard finding them old scholastic,
Yeah.
you know, kids books per se.
Only reason I have all of them is because I went to those book fairs.
Yeah. Yes. I have all of the Jedi Apprentice series, which is phenomenal. Jude Watson, like he was saying, is an excellent author. And that's a pen name that she uses. I believe her real name is Judy
Blundell.
Blundell. That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
S-
I
But
work at a library. I saw she has like an actual book with her name
yeah,
somewhere on the shelf. Kind of wanted to take a look at it, but it might not be in my demographic.
well, but her style and how she writes is so good, and
Absolutely.
also um, the Rebel Force you were mentioning. I own a few of them books as well, but they're just hard. They're hard to find, and if you do find them, at a garage sale or some thrift shop or a Goodwill, it's hard to find them in good condition. And it's kind of funny too, because sometimes there'll be kids' names in the front cover. We all have done that through time of being young and writing your name in the books or doing little doodles throughout it. But trying to find them all with, in good shape with no tears or pages missing is kind of it's a tough situation. You can find them obviously on eBay. People have through the years have gathered them all together, but they're quite pricey and it's tough. Um, but it is what it is. They're old books. They have not yet been reprinted, which I wish they would. They're doing the whole Essential Legends collection, which I'm appreciative of that. And I know a lot of people have different opinions on the covers, which I'm okay with. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. It's all part of it. But I like how they're all kind of uniform in the color schemes of things. You can kind of see them back here. They're gold and black, and I appreciate it. It looks good on the shelf. Um, they're coming out in waves. I believe they released wave 10 now. So we'll just have to wait and see. I know that's next year. I want to say April-ish, maybe. I could be wrong. I don't have all the notes wrote down about that. But hopefully we can get Ken back here. Maybe the weather's an issue. I know here in my state it's a gloomy day. It's that time of year. It's fall. It was raining on and off. The weather's been up and down. It's been down to the lower 50s, and then by noon it's in the 70s. It's that time of year. October's tomorrow. Excited for Halloween. Last year we did a trunk or treat. My wife and I, when we had our whole vehicle decked out in Star Wars, and I was Darth Vader, and she was Mando, and we had big blow ups, and the kids loved it. We actually won the fan favorite award, so that's cool. So we got invited back to do it again this year. So we'll have to see how that works. There he is.
Okay, I'm on my phone now.
That's all right. Hey, I was rambling on. I used to work in radio. No, I didn't, but I wish I would have. I think that'd be fun.
Mhm.
Um, but I was mentioning about trying to find the books like we were talking about. It's hard you know, and if you do find them, you know, it's funny because you open up the front cover and there'll be some kid's name scribbled in there. But it is what it is. We all have done that. Like I mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier when I was waiting for you to get back. But yeah, Rebel Force, that's another one. I have a few of them. I don't start reading them unless I have them all, because what's the point of starting on book 3 or book 7?
Yeah, that's the thing with the junior novels is you end up with just a few of them, but
Right. So Lego Star Wars, hey?
yeah, complete saga or not? Was it the complete saga?
I know they
No,
made
I think it
two
was the
different ones.
original,
Yeah.
or not the original, but it was 2, the original trilogy.
Did you purchase the newer one, the complete Skywalker
It's-
saga?
Yes, I have some opinions. For the most part, I enjoy the game.
Okay.
I think that there are some things that they really missed out on by not including.
Yeah.
There is, I'm sure. Well, I don't know how much you look into that, but something I really liked about the Lego Star Wars games is this character customizer
Oh yeah.
piece, which you can actually go to an area in the game and you can see these tanks, which basically look like the character creators from other games,
Okay.
and it looks like it just hasn't been coded in.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I know they pushed that back a few times. Like it
Yeah.
was supposed to come out, I believe 2021. Then it was
Mm-hmm.
2020. You know, and so. And who know, you know, I'm no computer whiz or game designer or detailer, but I'm sure there's a lot of work, especially in the Star Wars gap, you know, trying to piece everything together and get it all accurate as possible. I'm sure it's probably a tough job,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I feel bad for them with all the flack because it's, the game devs definitely aren't the ones who are really causing this kind of thing. It's got to be the like Traveler Tales and
Right.
stuff like that. They're really just pushing them.
Right.
I think that they pulled a lot of people off of the project too to work on other things.
Yeah, it seems like they do that a lot with everything now, especially, you know, in the TV series and obviously the sequel trilogy. They switched a lot of things up. It seems like they're always constantly in motion, moving people around. And I don't know, maybe that helps in certain areas, but I'm sure it also hurts.
Yeah.
You know, it makes things a little more difficult.
Mm. It's a productivity kind of thing.
Yeah, there's obviously an issue there. So do you read? Are you currently reading something?
I'm reading The Princess Bride right now. I will go into the Star Wars. I work in a library. I'm a librarian. I needed to take a little break, and I saw some things on the shelf that I kind of wanted to read. But in terms of Star Wars, the last thing I read was probably a few weeks ago, MedStar 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
So I got MedStar 2. I like it. I think it's weird, but I kind of struggle with action scenes. I'm not good at following them sometimes, so I find MedStar to be very dialogue heavy.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I did really like it.
Okay. Yeah, I started reading it a while back, and then it didn't grab me. I know it's popular. Maybe I didn't give it enough time, but there's
Yeah.
certain, you know, obviously, well, you're a librarian, which is a cool job, by the way. That's cool.
Thank you.
So all the work you do, great, because our local librarian, he's a great guy, and he puts on Star Wars events at our library too. So props to you for doing that. But it just didn't pull me in like some of the other authors and novels have done so far, especially right now in the New Jedi Order. Have you read any of the New Jedi Order?
All of it. So that was the other thing is I have probably read about 85% of canon or legends.
Okay.
I started with post Return of the Jedi. I read all the way up to Crucible, and then I read from Dawn of the Jedi up until MedStar.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're knocking it out. Yeah, that's good.
It's taken a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right
Some people
now,
do it faster.
yeah, I'm actually started a little book club with a few of my buddies, and we're reading the New Jedi Order,
Hmm.
and we're on the Agents of Chaos, couple books there by James Luceno.
Lucino.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan. I like the first
I've
three
heard that
books
from people.
were amazing. That we were all on the same page. You know, we get together once a week and talk about it for about an hour, and we loved them. Like it was like, yes, let's get to the next one. Let's get. And then now it's like all three of us are like, And I'm surprised from Lucino, to be honest with you,
Hmm.
that they're kind of a dull moment in the. But then again, it's a 19-book series. There's going to probably be a few that are hit or miss, right? Depending on what
Hmm.
you like. But for me, I can't wait to get past these ones.
Yeah.
So you own all of the books then?
A lot of them. I've been moving my bookshelf around, trying to get everything to fit. But working with hardcovers, I realized that the shelves were not the right sizes, and I took a lot of the not Star Wars things and I kind of shoved them behind. So in order for me to like fix it, I've got to move like 30 books from each shelf. So I'm putting it off, but I'll kind of show you.
Sure. Hey, this is awesome.
What
Here.
was it? At the moment, I've got
Live action.
I just
here.
purchased a bunch of this stuff from like eBay and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know. You saw that, right?
I did. I did see
Okay.
that you posted that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I've bought a few books off of eBay.
Hmm.
Some of the on Facebook, like the Star Wars like book smuggler like groups and stuff. I was a little skeptical on there, you know what? Because I'm always a little. You never know. There's
Oh yeah.
people are up and down in the world.
It'll
right?
happen.
It happens.
Uh,
But the gentleman, this was my first purchase. I was looking for mall lockdown and hardcover. Got a great price for it, and he threw in a Galaxy of Fear book in great shape for free. So I was like, this dude here is like A+, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, so I was really excited. One of my favorites, and I was on, like you said, you mentioned hardcover. It's like they take up a lot of room. So now I'm just trying to find my favorite novels in hardcover to kind of limit space.
Yeah.
Too.
I've been trying to do that because going to Legends Con, I would really prefer for the books I asked to be signed to be in hardcover. Just makes sense,
Absolutely. Yeah, when I met Mr. John Jackson Miller, I had the Kenobi hardcover.
Actually, since you mentioned that, sorry.
No, this is perfect.
I purchased. Sorry, it's a canon book, but I actually got this
nice.
Also signed by him. But I didn't meet him. Someone was selling this online.
Really?
I actually got some Fury signed by Aaron Alston.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I think a second book by him too.
I don't know why people would want to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the, like right now, since we're only reading so many chapters a week, and I like to read. There's some other series, like you mentioned, you're reading The Princess Bride, the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. I don't know if you've ever heard of that or not. It's a fantasy. They're like 900-page books. And it's probably the best books I've ever read so far. Like the story is just phenomenal. His writing style is great, Terry Goodkind. And he passed away a few years, unfortunately. And it's like, man, I would love to get something signed. I see on eBay because I've been trying to collect them in hardcover, and some people had books on there like that signed, and it's like, well, when the author's gone, and unfortunately, then there's no meet and greets anymore, or no panel talk, so for me personally, I would keep it till the end of time, right? It
was a very humble price for it that I purchased. It was 4 books that were signed. I think 2 Alstons and 1 Denning, and that John Jackson Miller book.
Okay, that's cool. That was
yeah. But the guy who sold them, he was he must have been like a middleman, because he was not the one who got them signed in the first place. I don't know how he got them, but
Yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? You never know. eBay is it's a weird market, that's for sure.
Hmm.
That's what people do for jobs, try to switch
Yeah.
hands with things, and maybe he was just trying to get a bunch of Star Wars books signed by authors and throw it on there for a big price, or you know what I mean, a
Hmm.
bidding, what have you.
Yeah.
Who knows? That's cool, man. So you mentioned canon, so I'm not aware. Are you a fan of any like of the newer stuff
I
or keep up with it?
it's interesting. I've really gone through this sort of metamorphosis since Legends Con.
Sure.
Something about I really felt seen as a Legends fan,
Okay.
and I think that for a really long time, uh, the idea of how Legends was sort of sinking into some obscurity made me very bitter. So for a long time, I was refusing to watch, any of the Disney shows.
Right.
I've read a canon book. Battle Scars, the
Yeah, the
Jedi
Jedi Survivor
interlude, basically.
quest. Yeah, that's right.
Hmm. Yeah. So I read that, but now I feel like it's okay,
Yeah.
and I can just enjoy it all, And I think I maybe that was how I should have seen it in the first place. But yeah, I've been watching some of the Bad Batch.
Nice.
Uh, I'd seen The Mandalorian like the first season, but right now I'm trying to do like a chronological watch.
Ooh.
So I watch an episode of uh, Tales of the Jedi, and then I watch an episode of Bad Batch. It's kind of just because it gives me a 45-minute time slot like an actual TV show.
Right. Right. Which
Hmm.
is kind of nice. You don't get that much
Yeah.
anymore. Right. I
Hmm.
appreciate you saying it's nice to hear from another fan that can enjoy it all. Now,
Hmm.
that being said, I respect and appreciate everyone's opinion. They just like the legends and that's it. I
Hmm.
personally, I love it all too. Why not?
Yeah.
It's what we have, and some of it's enjoyable, and I can keep the two separate if that makes sense. Like
No, for
I
sure.
can decipher between the two,
Yeah.
with no problems. And it's actually got my wife involved, like watching The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, which is
Hmm.
turning out to be like probably one of the best pieces that they have done so far, in my opinion, when it comes to the newer stuff
Hmm.
on the TV movie side of things, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like they were put in a position where, I mean, they wouldn't be able to make the kind of content that they do had they continued into that. If they,
Right.
followed through with Legends. I think the biggest gripe that we have these days is that we would like Legends to continue,
Yeah.
like a few more things from it. Because if they wiped this Disney canon and they went back to Legends for some reason, then we just have a bunch of Disney canon fans feeling the same way that all these guys have been, giving them flack for the last 10 years.
Right. Right. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
One gripe I hear from people about the Legends side of things is just there's so much for
Mm-hmm.
somebody to get involved with to become a new fan. It's just like, wow, there's like all these books, and then there's also the
Yeah.
comics, and then there's the short stories, and then there's the, like we mentioned, the scholastic side of things, which it all kind of
It's an
ties in
investment.
yeah, and it's time and money, and it's pricey. You know that
Mm-hmm.
from buying
Yeah.
books, and so do I. It's not cheap
Mm-hmm.
for some of the older material, especially comics.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they're reprinting some of the like the epic collections and such of that line. So it gives you a little chance to grab a piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
But them get pricey as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they only make so much in a limited run.
Yeah. It's
It's
pretty
interesting.
easy to get those essential legends, or not essential legends, whatever, the epic collections.
Yeah.
Very, very easy to get at the library. Side
Yeah.
note.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You have it from Ken here. Check out your local library and have him libraries are doing a lot of good things, that's for sure, because I'm sure from where you are, my local library will reach out to our whole state and they can,
Yeah.
check other libraries and then they'll ship it.
Interlibrary loan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is very helpful, which
Yeah.
before I started collecting, that's what I used to do. It's how I started reading them, was through my library,
Hmm.
which was great. But
Yeah.
then
No,
now it's like,
it's excellent.
as a collector, it's like, well, I need to get it all, as
Mhm.
you're well aware, and as of
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't. The only reason I buy these books is because as time goes on, it's going to be way harder to find books without the Legends banner on it.
Yeah,
So I gotta get all of them while I can.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Now we were talking about Legends Con, and you sent me some pictures. So let's jump
Hmm.
into the Legends Con here, and I'll bring some of these up here. Just give me a second.
So this, well, that's Kyle Rawlings. He put on Legends Con. Joe Bongiorno.
Yeah.
We actually met at the airport. I had a connecting flight, so I went from my hometown to the JFK airport. And I sat there. It was a layover, so I was there for probably 4 hours. Just as I'm about to get on the plane, I see the two of them walking by. And sorry, my clock it goes off every hour. So by pure chance, they had decided to go with the same airline, go to the same airport, and go to Legends Con. Unfortunately, our flight got delayed and then canceled. So we had to actually go. We went to a different airport. We actually took an Uber to Newark and scheduled a different flight because we were going to get to Legends Con Saturday at 8, and that wouldn't have gone over. I mean, you can't, not without Joe, not without Kyle. Would not have happened. And I was lucky enough that I was with them. I don't know what I would have done. They took care of me. Oh, wait. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had my mic muted because I opened up my pop here, and I didn't want that to interrupt you. But so you hung out with these guys from basically the whole time till you got there.
I spent about 30 hours with them. Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
I can tell you, both amazing people. Joe bought me dinner.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That is awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I would have been like just kind of awestruck, if you will.
Oh, I was. It's a little silly now, but I was shaking a little bit the second I met them. I was lucky enough. I vaguely knew what Joe looked like from pictures online.
Right.
Kyle, I wouldn't have recognized, but the two of them did an interview. Legends Library is Kyle's podcast.
Okay.
That he interviewed Joe, and I watched it a few days before the flight. So I had in my head what they looked like.
Sure.
Part of me, because I knew it was in a Discord, Kyle had said something about being in New York to see Joe and that they would be going to Legends Con together. And in my head, right before this, I thought, wouldn't it be crazy if they were on the same plane with me?
Yeah.
Immediately after we had met, Joe goes to the flight attendant and he asks if it's at all possible for me to sit near them.
Really?
Yeah. But
that's cool.
Yeah. So I probably would have liked to sit next to them because we were actually on the tarmac for 5 hours.
Wow.
Which they're not supposed to be able to do. There was some weird weather stuff going on in the Midwest, so it was difficult.
You put a damper on things.
for sure. So
So
they canceled the flight.
So what was some of the conversation? Like, did you ask him anything particular? I know he just came out with the Supernatural Encounters book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We talked about Supernatural Encounters. I purchased a hardcover.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. We talked about some of the Marvel comics. I actually showed him this shirt. He loves it. He actually has a very similar one. I was gonna
say I like your shirt, by the way. I meant to tell you that earlier. It's pretty BA.
Yeah, I got it at I think my mother got it for me at like a JC Penney's. It's funny because of how like niche it is that they would make something like this. But because Joe's big fan of the Marvel comics. I was telling him about this sort of synchronicity, as Joe called it. I don't know how much I should get into like spoilers.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. In some of the post Return of the Jedi comics, the New Republic presents Luke with a bunch of Force sensitives, which they want him to train.
Okay.
But Luke basically refuses. In the context of Truce at Bakura, which had definitely happened before this, I can understand exactly why Luke made this decision, because he had just lost what people would argue is his first student.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and Joe really appreciated that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you kind of. I know you said you had some stories to say, but now you kind of put me on a loop here now too, because I'm like, man, you got to spend a whole day with these guys, and that's kind of cool that he took you under his wing. He helped you get there, because I know from flying a few times back in the day, it can be a little frustrating and mind-boggling if things don't pan out right.
It's my first time in about 2 years. It was, I think that was the most hesitant part, because, Legends Con's 2 days, but I basically spent 2 days at airports.
Yeah. Travel. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's neat, man. That's that's a great story.
Yeah. This obviously is me at Legends Con. The eyes are not real.
It's cool looking though.
Yeah, that's my Thrawn getup, obviously. But I was going for a sort of casual look. Oh, the other thing is that I really didn't want to pay for a checked bag, so I had just a backpack with me. So I had to make sure everything fit inside. Just see. Actually, the backpack broke too.
This sounds like an adventure that you went on, my friend.
It absolutely was. So the T-shirt and some makeup was, that definitely fit in the bag. I wasn't about to try and shove a whole Grand Admiral costume in there.
Right. Well, hey, it worked out and looked good.
Mm-hmm. This is me and Abel G. Penna. He and I got along very well. You might know he goes by Halagad Ventor on a lot of his
his social.
Yeah, well, I guess his socials, yeah. At least the Force.net, stuff like that. And he was telling me that he sort of just needed a name, and this very obscure Star Wars character who definitely has a huge level of importance, because Halagad Ventor's whole thing is that he sold out all the Jedi. At least this was before the prequels came out. So they put all the blame on this one guy. And that's sort of how Ken Palpatine came to me, is I needed a name.
Yeah.
And the longer that I hold on to it, I just think about him a lot more these days because, the grandson of the emperor. I think that there was a few movies recently about a grandchild of the emperor that sort of rejected that name. So it's definitely a level of importance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sticks, man, and it fits you. And I like it.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, there you go.
Matt Stover. We had so much to talk about, and it drifted to things that weren't even Star Wars because we came from very similar backgrounds. We started talking about theater, and that Matt Stover is a big theater guy. Actually, this is the other thing. When he signed my book, Shatterpoint,
I love that book.
Yes, it was very good. I read it a few weeks beforehand. I asked him one question. This was sort of an inside joke that we had in one of the Discord servers, that a lot of authors of Legends books are like MMA trained. So I asked him who would win in a cage fight, him or Jim Lucino. And he said to me, well, he's about 20 years older than me, but Jim is on a very short list of people I would not fuck with, even on a bet.
That's awesome.
But Matt Stover is a very personable man. He was telling us how, he's going to start writing again. And he's doing a lot better than he had, because I don't know how much people know about this, but, he hasn't written anything in about 10 years because he was gravely ill. His marriage was falling apart. He was struggling with a lot of things. So it's very nice to see that he's doing good.
Yeah. One thing I will say about some of these authors, it would be great to have them come back and start writing Star Wars, even if it's for the newer canon. Right?
Yeah.
Like, they're fantastic. Like, I'm kind of mind boggled by that they have not brought some of these guys back into play. If they want to write still. I know a lot of them are getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the age gets us all. We can't beat time, right? But to be honest with you, when I first saw pictures of Matthew Stover or seen little bits and pieces of him, I was like intimidated by him because he's got that stoic presence to him.
Absolutely.
Right?
The pictures that they put inside of those other, or what was it? I think it's probably inside of Shatterpoint. It's inside of Shadows of Mindor.
He looks
he's
like
kind of angry
badass.
looking. Yeah.
He does. But then Only Good Games had recorded a lot of the panel talk with all the authors, and not saying that he's not a badass, but when he talked, and it's like this, he seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
Like just a down to earth, loves to write. He's a fan, and it seemed to me he was so pleased by everyone's response to him being there, which is good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's good. And then hopefully that'll put some fire into him, and it'd be great to have him write a new book.
Yeah.
Because I love his writing style.
Yeah, very, very good, very versatile, and all that. He brought a lady friend with him. I'm not sure if it's his wife, his girlfriend, but she was an absolute gem.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we had wine together. It was that nice. Cantina night. That's actually what this picture's from. Was shout out to Brian from Barb's Basement, because he sort of just asked Matt if he'd take a picture with me. I wouldn't have asked, but
no,
no, it just wasn't in my mind. I didn't even think of asking. Yeah.
I suppose being in that kind of environment and just the excitement, your mind is all over the place. I totally understand what you're saying. I get it. I get it.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's great.
Yes, so this is Balance of the Forces is one of my favorite cosplay duos. I had been following them for about 2 years, about as long as they've been doing this stuff on Instagram. They'll dress up as Anakin and Padme, and they'll do all these little skits. It's
Mm,
very, very enjoyable. But I went in there dressed as Thrawn, and they looked at me, which,
really?
yeah, they loved it. And for seeing people uh, online, I don't know. It's just, I think you know what
No,
I'm
I do.
saying.
I get
Just
it.
like, I'm usually the one behind the screen,
Right.
and never did I think that they would be aware that I existed.
Well,
Hmm.
that's one thing I'll say about the fandom. It just everybody seems so embracing,
Hmm.
regardless if they got a million followers on Instagram and then they see somebody. It's like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they take it to heart, and they're appreciative and respectful, and it's great. Just
Hmm.
I mean, I've only met John Jackson Miller, and I was intimidated, like you said. I was like
Yeah.
nervous, and I didn't know. But then after talking with him for a little bit, it's like he loves talk. He don't, you know what I'm saying? He gives off that
Oh
presence,
yeah.
like he's just so embracing. It's cool.
Hmm.
It's good, and that seems to be the way it is with a lot of everyone.
And this is the other Ken Palpatine. A
Ah,
lot of circles we've been confused for each other quite a
okay,
bit, so I figured I'd add that in there.
good. Well, now I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, 'cause,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
sometimes it
sometimes
is
they'll
like
talk about another Ken, and it's not me.
the duos
Mhm.
together.
For sure.
That's cool, man. So tell me
Mhm.
what it was like when you first got there. Like, how was the experience? Like walking in.
Yeah. So, and mind you, I had slept for about 3 hours on the plane. Uh, I went into Legends Con. We got there at 11:30. I came in at 12. I walked in there. Actually, I had some trouble finding the uh, the Marriott Convention Center.
The venue,
People kept telling me that it was, you know, either which way.
right?
So I walked around for a little bit until finally I found it. I saw some people that clearly were going to Legends Con. Uh, so I told them my name, and I went in there, and I ran into all those guys: Marcel, Quinlan, Alex. Uh, I told them all that I would be dressed as Thrawn. I took a picture.
Sure.
Uh, I'm glad because I'm a little weird about that kind of stuff. So it was much better that they like came up to me
Ah, okay.
rather than I went looking for them. But I'd say so the numbers that they've released, about 500 people went to Legends Con. Uh, for the most part, I think there was a lot of people in like panels. Relatively, it wasn't crowded at all. Uh, Definitely things going on.
Sure.
Lots of cool panels. There was these, robotics guys. They had like R2D2s moving around. Someone had a book stand. Lots of like essential Legends collection stuff.
Okay.
Even what was it? BioWare had sent them some posters for. Actually, maybe I have one.
Really? Like promo posters?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have one for that. Yeah, basically just for the Old Republic. And
Oh
then Dark
man,
Horse actually had some posters there too that they sent to Legends Con.
that's cool.
Yeah, it seemed, well, it's a little free advertising.
Well, sure,
Yeah,
but it's still
but
cool to have a piece like that.
yeah, it's
So
good that they kind of acknowledge that too.
Did you end up getting one of the Old Republic posters?
I don't think so. I think it might have
No.
been too big, or maybe it was. I don't know why I didn't grab one actually. Actually, it was probably because it was difficult to get those into my backpack.
Yeah, they'd be wrecked or bent, and
Yeah,
that's
actually.
that'd be so
Sorry.
cool. I love the Old Republic era. I think that's
Yeah.
so neat.
Actually, this one was my favorite,
Oh, look at
and
that.
they gave this to everyone.
That's
It's
cool.
the whole family tree. I gotta get it framed or something.
for sure.
I keep putting it on the floor.
That's so overall it was a great experience. That's
Mhm.
my take on from seeing everybody and watching their videos about it. It seemed like it was a great time.
Yeah, very positive. I made a joke beforehand that I almost pictured, like a little girl coming in dressed as Rey and all these guys like booing her.
Right.
But no, that didn't happen.
No.
Obviously, there was some canon stuff going on. I think that there wasn't a lot of negativity towards it, thankfully. So
That's good.
it was good. It was it's all Star Wars, but it is the one thing where we try to elevate the Legends part of it.
Yeah, which I understand that because there's been a lot of time and effort put into that and years upon
Yeah.
years of work there. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's good to hear that everything was positive. If there was some newer canon stuff, and that's good. That makes the experience better. Plus, that gives it a better name because I know I never was a part of any of the when all this took place, when Disney kind of put away the Legend stuff or made it Legends, and
Mhm.
so, and I knew there was a lot of flack and animosity back then about that. So I'm glad that's starting to kind of finally just drift away,
Mhm.
if you will, because let's just be positive about it. It's what we love.
Yeah.
Right. It brings us together. It's making me meet you and everybody else that I've met so far and made friends because of it. And I love
Yeah.
that so much, and I appreciate it.
Mhm.
So do you think there's plans on doing another one? Do you think it turned out?
Oh, I know that at the very end, they told us that they're shooting for 2025.
Okay.
They're going to take a break next year, and they're probably going to spring or summer. I think it probably wouldn't be that same weekend because they've got a big competitor right beforehand. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dragon Con.
I have, yes.
Yes, so Dragon Con is always Labor Day weekend. I think because a lot of Star Wars authors will go to that.
Sure.
Putting it sort of a few weeks difference between the two of them might be good. I mean, you won't have to compete with the guests at whichever. I think there might have been a few issues with scheduling because of Dragon Con. But shout out to Michael Stackpole for going to Dragon Con and then Legends Con.
Double
both
duty.
weeks. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned before that you ran into Marcel and Alex and Brennan and all them guys. How was that experience finally meeting some of the people that you've talked with online? And because they all seem like, you guys all posted pictures, and I just want to shout out to you guys because I appreciate that, living through you guys. But being able to meet some of you guys in person would be great and an honor.
Oh,
so I bet
absolutely.
it was a blast,
Mm-hmm. No, I was very glad. A lot of the time, actually, this is the thing. For years, I read all these books, and I never say any of this stuff out loud. And that's probably the weirdest thing to me is all these like weird Star Wars names, like just saying them.
Yeah.
That and so much like, I don't know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but so much like eloquent stuff was coming out of my mouth, which I did not expect. with all of these names and my like insights with the books, and it was just flowing.
Yeah.
It was weird, and in hindsight, I've spent a lot of time sort of isolated from other people who really love this, legend stuff.
Sure.
So I don't think I've ever really had the opportunity to talk about it in person with another person before.
Oh.
So, and that was probably one of the best parts about this. I mean, at the least, some people will have a very rudimentary knowledge of maybe the Thrawn trilogy, but yeah, most of my time growing up, I never really knew anyone who actually read the books.
And had the passion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. That's
Mhm.
that's kind of why I started to do the YouTube channel, was part, and plus to make friends to have that, because
Yeah.
I mean, I have a few friends here in town that are fans, and now they're really getting into reading, and it's
Mhm.
really brought a lot more to it for me to have that interaction, that get your thoughts. This is what I'm thinking, because we could say it. We could do. I'm terrible at trying to do book reviews, or that's not my niche. I'm not good at it.
Mhm.
There's other people. Matt Wilkins is great. Meg Reviews is fantastic.
Oh yes.
Red 5, like there's a lot of Brennan and Alex, all these guys. They're just great at it, and I'm terrible at it. But in the
Mhm.
moment, face to face, like you said, you were in like the state of flow. You had the force flowing through you, and it was coming out, brother. That's what that was.
Oh yes.
So I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
So that's cool that you guys sat down and just had a bunch of conversations. And man, I'm so jealous of you guys.
Hey, we'll see you next time. I'm sure.
Were they planning on doing it in the same venue, or are they looking elsewhere, or
At least for the next one, it's going to be at Burbank.
same deal?
Mhm. They want to kind of move things around a little bit over time, so it could be a little closer to wherever you are. Lots of major areas. They'll
Sure.
probably move the convention around.
Well, that's good. Hopefully it keeps growing, and all the positive feedback that it seems to be getting
Mhm.
that's a bonus.
Yeah.
That's a bonus. So is there any something you purchased, or an obscure piece that you found there that you
Yeah. So I had to get the tote.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I originally I wasn't going to, because I saw it online. It was one of their Kickstarter things,
Sure.
and they didn't, or no, by the time I saw it, it had passed the deadline to sign up to
Mhm.
buy one. But then they had a bunch of them sitting there, so I figured, why not? I went to what was it? There's another podcast, Punch It Chewy Press. They make pins,
Oh,
so
look
I
at
got
that.
this Thrawn one. I got Kyle Katarn. Got
Look at
Zeb,
that.
and I got this one pro bono.
Oh,
True
man.
Jedi.
Them look really good.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah, I
quality
definitely.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent pins. I tried not to buy too many things because of the backpack situation, but
Yeah. Limited. Right. That's cool, man. So what was the best part for you? What was like
it was definitely the Cantina night. My talk with Matthew Stover. I went to one of the panels the first night, but since I hadn't slept, I nearly fell asleep during the panel. Because I hadn't sat down for the majority of the day.
exhausted?
So
Yeah.
it finally hit me, yeah. And it sucked because I was interested in what they were saying, too.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it just sounds like you had a great time. The whole Joe
Yeah.
Bongiorno
Actually,
situation. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I remembered the other thing. The next day, I figured the panels are recorded, so I could just watch them.
Yep.
So the next day I went and someone was running Star Wars D6. So I got to sit down and play that, which I haven't been able to do in person for a long time.
I bet you that was a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I-
really liked it. Tatooine Manhunt.
It's fun that that you just mentioned that, because you were saying you were working and translating some of the D6.
Yeah. Yeah,
for
me
the
and
magazine?
some other guys. So the background on this is West End Games had a D6 based Star Wars game in the 90s. A bunch of gamer magazines created these sort of nowadays we have the open game license. This is basically the open game license for a pre-internet era.
Okay.
That they made unlicensed magazine articles. They're ambiguously canon, and a lot of them are in French. Because what's Lucasfilm gonna do to France?
Yeah.
They have no grounds to stand on.
Yeah.
So what the issue is, no one ever translated them. So me and a bunch of guys, we've been through various things. Some of them speak French. Some of them use like I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. OGL? No, that's the other thing. But basically, it's using AI to translate it.
Oh.
And then the thing that we really like to do is to reformat it so it looks like the original article.
That's cool.
So a few of them have been done, but I'm looking for more like translators or just people who put in that work to do that kind of thing.
Well, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can find them. I know you do. I mean, have you checked like the postings on Reddit and stuff along that nature?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been a while, so it might be good to check again.
Yeah.
But since I mentioned that, can I talk about the other projects I was mentioning to you?
Roll right into that.
Perfect. Yeah. So something else I'm doing, I might actually send it to you so you can link in this video. I've been curating fan fiction. I don't know if you're familiar with Hand of Thrawn 45.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
bit about it.
He writes a lot of very like Legends compliant fan fiction in attempts to sort of tie up storylines. So I take his work, and then me and some other guys, we've been looking online for fan fiction that kind of doesn't contradict any other sources.
Would fit perfectly.
Yeah, and we created like a timeline of it at the moment. What I need to sort of read through all of it and confirm is that they are compliant with each other, which is very
time consuming.
Yeah, very time consuming, and you can't possibly ask a fan fiction author to kind of follow another fan fiction author's stuff. So that makes it a little difficult. But yeah, at the moment, there's a lot of stuff that people could read if they just, they finish the actual official Legends stuff.
Storyline, yeah.
Yeah, and they wanted to read a little bit more. That's kind of what this is there for.
So how long have you been working on this?
I might have come up with it maybe a year ago.
Okay.
But I've only really started. I created a Google Doc. That's basically what it is at the moment. I'm looking to create a website that does that same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Each
of them links to like their fan fiction page. So it's pretty easy to read.
That's some work though to do, man. You're going through the motions here because there's a lot of it out there. I know that.
Yeah. You got to sift through a lot of it too.
Yeah.
A lot of, I respect whatever people want to write as fan fiction. A lot of them like to do like a alternate universe fan fiction. I try not to add in too much like fluff, as they call it.
Mm.
Some of it's fine, but at some point you're sort of just, I don't know. You don't need to read every facet of Luke's life,
I hear you. I hear
Yeah. But the other thing that I'm doing right now, I'm sort of spearheading a Tales prequel trilogy in the spirit of the Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina, Tales from the Bounty Hunters, Tales from Jabba's Palace. I am picking out the major set dressing scenes from each prequel film, and I'm getting fan fiction authors to, well, just anyone who would like to write one as well, a story about each, not just the pod racers, but lots of people are in that Coliseum.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. So I'm trying to get people to write those. I've got about 12 slots open still, because there's a lot of pod racers, and I added a lot of characters.
Man, that'd be fun
Mm-hmm.
to read that or see what people come up with. Because you're right, there's a lot of possibilities there.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. They're coordinating with each other, so
That's good.
yeah.
It's almost, yeah, it'd be nice to have like a book, like that it's something put together, so it's all, yeah, that'd be great.
Oh
man.
yes. There's
I was gonna go ahead, finish. I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt you.
there's a guy who actually formats fan fiction into books. You can print through Lulu.
I've heard of these.
Yeah.
I've never messed around with any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of computer illiterate when it comes to doing stuff along those lines, but
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that, and they do good work. That's what I've heard. Yeah,
I'd probably get something like that done.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with this idea?
Actually, it was I give credit to oh my. There's something else sort of fan fiction based that people are working on called Project Star Phoenix. And they're, what was it? A collective of guys who were, for the most part, unhappy with the way Star Wars went after New Jedi Order. So they're looking to sort of do their own thing with the context of everything before that. But I remember it was very offhanded that someone had said, what was the biggest missed out thing in Legends? And someone had said prequel Tales novels. And I thought to myself, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm writing a Shiboba story.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got a really good idea. Something I was going to write as a story to begin with that I figured would make perfect sense in the context of this.
So do you write then? Like, have you always?
Yeah. Actually, that was something I talked to Matt Stover about. I went to school for English. I was in a creative writing club, and I used to do short stories. One day maybe it'll end up published, because I sort of, and I haven't written much for it in a long time, but it's a short story. No, it's not short. It was easy for me to say that they were short stories, even though they're basically chapters of an anthology type story that, it's eventually it's all going to connect to each other. But there's enough different points of views that I can kind of play them off as short stories until I write more.
Sure.
But yeah, it was sort of inspired by Star Wars. It's a love letter to a more classic science fiction, like an Asimov or a Philip K. Dick type. I find that a lot more modern science fiction has sort of become a little YA stylized.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to write something that's a little different from that.
Yeah. It's a good
Mhm.
idea. But you're right, though, how everything kind of seems like the young adult style of things. I noticed,
Yeah.
like, reading, like you were saying, The Last Jedi, but um, the Jedi Apprentice series, them books kind of are, she wrote them in a way that they don't seem like they're kids' books,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and now if you read some of the newer material that's out there, it's like almost kind of dull. Even the adult books seem,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Because when they wrote Jedi Apprentice, YA as a genre didn't exist yet. So I
Right.
think that they've taken a lot of what was it? If they wanted someone to write a junior novel, it wouldn't be it wouldn't have those elements. I think it would be uh, made into more of a child story
Mm-hmm.
uh, because obviously people die in Jedi Apprentice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
kind of like in a gruesome. Well, I don't want to say gruesome. It's not the right word, but falls and
Hmm.
breaks your neck. That's kind of, for a kid. That's like, whoa. But
Hmm.
to me, it's like in just even some of the dialogue was even more. It felt older. If
Hmm.
if you get what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, it's like you know how The Hobbit originally was a children's book, and now
Yeah.
it's
Right.
you can read it, and adults can read it and kind of struggle with it.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
how language evolves, I guess.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's cool, man. I didn't know that you got involved with writing, and I'm excited to see. I'd like to, yeah, when you start writing, I'd like to. You'll have to send that off to me because I'd like to read.
Absolutely.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
This is great, man.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, do
Oh,
you go ahead?
sorry.
No,
No,
you're
this
the
is
star of the
stupid.
show, man, not me.
I was watching some of your other videos and it kind of clicked with me. Has anyone ever told you you've got kind of a Ray Park vibe to you?
No.
You Darth Maul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the first time I hear that,
Oh,
man. Thanks.
yeah. No, I kept thinking about it. It's like this guy kind of looks like Ray Park.
Hey, well, I could be a fill-in for if they want to bring Maul back and Ray doesn't want to do it.
For
I'm
sure.
not. I'm not that fluent in martial arts like he is, but
Um,
well, you mentioned that too about some of the authors and how they're all into martial arts and different styles. I
yeah.
love. I did a little taekwondo in my day, and I'm a fan of the UFC as a sport. But like even Steve Perry, he
Hmm.
was a badass martial artist too. It's interesting. I wonder if they do that as a sense of, because it's a discipline, right? Martial
Hmm.
arts, all aspects of martial arts, they all revolve around a discipline, not just being able to kick someone's ass, right? So that
Yeah.
it's just, I had no idea Matthew Stover was into that.
He actually taught classes.
Really?
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I started thinking about, uh, going back to Matthew Stover, there's so much of his life experience informs his writing. With
Mm,
the whole concept of shatter points, uh, really you can see that there's something in his martial arts training that has really informed that.
came out in the book. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's I liked that. Felt like a guerrilla warfare
Yeah.
style, and how he made Mace such a badass. Now that you say that, now I'm thinking about it, and you're right. That's cool.
Hmm. And the
That's
other,
very,
you notice how he does like part one, part two, part three, all of his books.
yeah,
That's because he studied theater,
yeah,
and the three act show
yeah.
he said to me was the perfect story uh, format, and that's why he uses that.
Hmm. I'm excited. Well, that makes sense. Now that you
Yeah,
said that, are you in the theater? I know you said you like theater, right?
yeah. I would have a minor in it, but a lot of things were going on. So basically, I went to school for English. I have a minor in film studies. I have a minor in psychology. Originally, that degree was going to be in theater English, but a bunch of people from the department left. So I wasn't able to take the classes that I needed for it.
Well, that's a bummer.
Mm-hmm. But I did lots of. I was in shows when I was in high school.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's things I look back on now, and it's like, man, I wish I would have got involved in this and this. But over time, and we age, we change.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Meg Reviews is, right? Meg.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been
guys
watching her videos.
Yeah, I said you guys should get together because she's in the theater too. She does plays all the time. You guys should do some Star Wars something together. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. I'm a big fan of Meg Reviews.
Yeah, she's great. Great person. That's so interesting though. You kind of took me back with the Matthew Stover thing. Because I'm excited to get to Traitor. I hear a lot of people love that book. I don't want you to spoil anything for me. So
Nope, I won't.
But I like Shadows of Mindor. I thought that was good too. That was good.
That one's really interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, Matthew Stover told me that he had plans for a trilogy before he'd grown sick. He wouldn't have been able to finish it, I don't think, because Disney would have,
probably
taken over, probably would have cut him off. But he wanted to do a trilogy starring Nick Rostu. And what was it? It's been a really long time since I've read Mindor, but his girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't.
And Carvaster.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes Gepton is what he said, and that they would hunt down. They'd be like a Black Ops team, and they would hunt down Darksiders.
Oh shit!
Specifically Chronal, because he was going to get out of Shadows of Mindor alive.
Man, that's would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could write. Probably not. There's probably some sort of stipulation, but make these books and just put them out with different titles. You not have the Star Wars.
Like change the characters' names and all that.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I'm trying to say?
No, I know. There's definitely a copyright issue with that.
There's probably some infringement law stipulation, mumbo jumbo. That
the thing with authors, I understand why they kind of hold off on this stuff. I'll say Abel G. Penna's got several stories, and he's not going to just release them. He'd like to get paid, and I can see why a lot of authors would like to get paid for their work. The only reason we got something from Kenneth C. Flint with that Heart of the Jedi, is because of that very odd situation that he was never going to get paid for that, and I think he knew that, so he said, well, I wrote it, so I might as well release it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes time. I mean, I'm no writer, but it takes time and effort, and it's work, and they should get paid.
Yeah.
Right? They should. The bottom line, that's
they should get their royalties too.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I am not against that at all. I believe the writer strike is still going on too, right?
I believe they reached an agreement. At the moment, it's still the actors. The actors are on strike.
Yeah, they deserve to get paid too.
Oh yes, in the very least, they deserve to not, get deep faked without their permission.
Yeah, I know this whole AI deep fake stuff, man, is really gonna mess stuff up.
Yeah, it's a very odd relationship I have with all that. I mean, I really liked Rogue One. I really like it still. And I understand that there's problems with it, but I really appreciated the Tarkin.
Yeah.
that they had brought into there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
I think that there's a way that you can do it right sometimes. I mean, they use them sparingly. And now I assume you'd heard that James Earl Jones had sold his voice
right,
to Disney. Yeah. I mean,
you can't replace that man's voice.
Yeah.
Nobody's got a voice like him.
There's Chad Vader.
Well, but there's no James Earl Jones.
For sure.
And he made that character come to life with that. So I can understand why he would do that, right? But
yeah,
who knows how many other actors or actresses will eventually. I'm sure we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's already people doing stuff with people's voices and putting out there, even with music.
Yeah.
AI songs. It's just wild.
AI singers.
Yeah.
Lots of people they're not people. These weird industries are creating pop stars, but they're just they're not real. No, there's nothing real about them.
Well, man, this has been fun. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm glad we got together and talked. I'm glad you got to tell some of your story of.
Mm-hmm.
When you said you had some interesting stories to say, man, I had no idea you were hanging out with Joe Bongiorno, eating dinner and drinking wine.
I have his phone number now.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool. That's one thing I did not get was his book. I was kind of late on the process. I know a few, Marcel and them mentioned it to me, and I didn't sign up to send it to him. Hopefully one day I'll be able. Hopefully the book turns out good, and
yeah,
he gets.
It came out in a few days ago for me.
Yeah.
Very heavy. I've got to finish more. Sorry.
Hardcover, I would assume.
Yes, hardcover. Okay. Signed. It's funny because that book, I mean, all that, what was it? Joe signed it for me before we'd had that adventure together. So it's a weird relic of a time before I really knew Joe.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I know there's a few I'd really like to get Joe Schreiber to sign his books because I'm a big fan of his. Even I know we were talking about Jude Watson quite a bit on and off here, and how she has other books that she's different genres that she's wrote in. But even some of his other books are really good too. Just his style and how he writes, I really enjoy it.
I read Lockdown. I'm not a big horror person. I will probably at some point read that. I don't know what people call it, like a duology. Would you say Red Harvest and the Death Troopers? Yeah.
I honestly, I love them. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they're great, and I guess you could call it that. It's horror-ish, but why couldn't there be a little bit of
for sure
horror-ish in the galaxy? There's so many options. It all fit. One thing I will say is have you read any? You haven't read Death
No,
Troopers.
I didn't read those two.
I'm not going to say anything. I was going to say something, but there was a shock for myself in that book. So I had no idea. But
gotcha.
I recommend reading that and Red Harvest. They're
I will read it eventually. It was so I didn't read any of those Old Republic novels either. Not because I didn't want to. Well, it was more because I really wanted to get to sort of the prequel era. So I was going a little sparingly because that stuff doesn't really impact anything else.
Yeah, I see. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so I'll probably come back to them.
I recommend them too because they're all good in my opinion. Well, what's your favorite book?
Actually, I'll. One of my friends went to Dragon Con. Got this. This is the first novel that I had read. This is the book exactly, and I went to a flea market in Florida. It just happened to be there, and
really,
yeah, this is what really got me into it, and I would say I'm I'm 24. So I'm near the tail end of that generation that was actually able to read Legends
yeah.
books while they were still expanded universe.
Yep.
hmm
Man, that's a great. I like that trilogy. That Kevin J is.
hmm
He's good.
If I could meet anyone, it'd be Kevin J. Anderson.
Yeah. I don't know if he goes. I'm not sure if he
He went to
does.
Dragon Con at least.
Well, yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
because he's up there in age. Um, I'm. I don't want to say he's. How do you say that?
He's in his 60s,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
he's
sure.
he's older. So when you
Yeah.
get to a certain age, you don't bounce around as much. But yeah, he would be someone I'd like to have
hmm
that book signed by. So that's
Yeah.
good. And you found that at a flea market?
It wasn't signed at the time, but yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. This is backwards. No, my friend got this signed at Dragon Con this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Cool.
hmm
Cool. Yeah. I know on
I
his
left him a
website.
very nice note.
Oh, nice. I know on Kevin J sometimes he puts them out there signed on his website. You can buy like the box set
hmm
signed, but it's cool, but it'd still be better to meet in person. Right?
hmm
It adds a little more to it because then you got that memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you got anything else? I know we touched on a lot of different subjects here, man, and all the stuff you've been working on, which is impressive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
Nothing else coming down the pipe? Or have you ever thought about starting a channel? Or
So actually, that was the other thing I was going to say about my Instagram is, I kind of say in the comments a lot of that stuff I post I've stolen from Reddit. And at the time, I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of a way to create clout for myself. So I'd go and what was that this is silly, but I would go into other Star Wars personalities followers lists on Instagram, and I would just follow all of them.
oh, okay.
So then most of them would follow me back, and that's how I kind of just created a channel where I'd get like a decent amount of likes and followers.
That's the Palpatine in you doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know about a YouTube channel. I don't know if I've got much original content to pump out.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's it. There's a lot of great content creators out there. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. And they come up with some clever stuff, and they're very tech savvy, and that helps too. And they got the time. But yeah, that's very. You infiltrated the Instagram situation there, Mr. Palpatine.
I play the algorithm. Yeah.
That's a fun game to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, then after I started really posting things, I found another guy who was doing basically the same thing. Okay. So I was like, So then I started, posting when I was reading things or my book hauls.
Yeah.
But I think I got lucky at the time because I don't often buy the books because I had purchased so many of them a while ago that, I don't really need to.
Right.
But yeah, then I might have actually made the channel before Legends Con so that people would know who I was when I showed up. But yeah, and then you asked me to come on the show, and I was sort of in my head. I was like, I didn't even realize I was cool enough for that.
No, man, I like talking to everybody. There's no I like creating friendships and especially real people and that give off good vibes, and I just caught that from what you post, and you just seemed, and I wanted to talk with you.
Yeah.
And now here we are. I'm glad.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got together and chatted, and I'm glad hopefully some insight was out there, especially for what you're working on. If anybody watches this, so
yeah, definitely. That's part of why I wanted to mention it, because I am looking for more people for those those projects. If you can link my Instagram, they can
Yeah, I
definitely
will.
contact me that way.
Absolutely. I'll link your Instagram in the description, and
hmm
yeah, hopefully somebody will reach out to you and that's interested and wants to write, because I think it's a great idea. And there's a
Yeah,
lot of possibilities with that whole picking a character out of the Coliseum or pod racers, and it's
yeah.
fun, man. It's all fun and
Kind
enjoyable.
of. I'll give you the next two. Tales from the Outlander Club. That one might be a little difficult. I don't know how many people there even have names.
Yeah.
But and the other one was I always forget what this thing is called. Sorry.
No, that's all right. There's a lot of names to
Cores
try to remember.
Tales. Oh, that's what it is. Tales from the Galaxy's Opera House, where
Oh yeah.
Anakin hears the Darth Plagueis story.
Yeah.
Lots of cool people. I mean, even George Lucas is there.
Yeah, he's hanging out. You
Yeah.
write a story about him.
hmm
That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
man, yeah. I'll link all that in the description, and hopefully somebody will reach out. And this has been fun and a pleasure. And yeah, you had me taken back with, I had no idea you, like I said, hung out with Joe Bongiorno for a while, and
Yeah.
kind of took you under his wing to get you guys there safely. So that's cool.
It was worth it to I'm almost glad that my flight got delayed.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had that experience otherwise.
Right. Well, that's good. And I'm glad to hear everything turned out positive and you got to meet with people. And I guess that's an alarm to say that's about, I can hear it, end of the
Yeah.
show here. But thanks again, Ken. I
Yeah.
said, I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate everything that you mentioned to us and what you're working on. And you're a down to earth guy and a fan. And I dig it, brother.
Thank you. May the force be with you.
Yeah, may the force be with you too, sir. There you have it, guys. Mr. Ken Palpatine. I'll link everything in the description, like I said, and hope you enjoyed the show. And thanks for everyone's support and watching. And we'll keep coming at you. But until next time, see you soon.